Okay, check this out, you guys. Today, we'll be making potato chips. Not just any potato chips, seriously crunchy, delicious potato chips. I'll show you how to make these at home, but first, I need to know, what type are you? First, there's the classic kind. Super thin, light in both color and texture, with a gentle crisp. And then there is the kettle chip. Deeply colored and flavored, quite a bit thicker, with a heavy, shattering crunch. Personally, I am a man of thickness. I like a good kettle chip, but honestly, no matter what your preference is, even an average potato chip is pretty good. And a great one, like a homemade one, is what crunchy snack dreams are made of. Before I show you how to make the best potato chips ever though, there's something I need to show you. So if you go on Google Maps and then you type in 793 Malta Avenue in Ballston Spa, New York, USA, it's gonna take you to this random looking place in upstate New York. I know it looks like nothing, but hold on a second. If we drag the Street View guy right here, and then we just take a look around until there. Okay, do you see the sign? I know you can't read it right now, but let me pull up a high-res version of that. Crumb's Place. George Speck, chef, inventor of the potato chip, ran his restaurant here. Inventor of the potato chip? Really? Look, you may not have heard of George Speck's name before, but you might have heard the legend of the potato chip. Before opening his own place, George Speck, who was known as Crumb, was working as a chef in this other restaurant called Moon's Lake House, just a few miles away. One day, a picky customer, sometimes said to be business magnate Cornelius Vanderbilt, ordered fried potatoes, but complained that they were too thick and sent them back. Crumb thought, okay, fair enough, and made him a new batch. But Vanderbilt still thought they were too thick and sent them back again. But this time, Crumb got pretty mad. So to teach the customer a lesson, he cut potato slices so thin you could see through them and fried them until they turned completely crisp. And you can probably guess what happened next. Instead of hating them, Vanderbilt actually loved them, and they became a famous signature order in this restaurant, with people even buying them in paper cones for picnics or just as snacks. Except, unfortunately, this is another one of these amazing food origin stories that simply don't check out. Look, George Speck was a chef and he was famous for his amazing potato chips, but the part about him being the first one ever to do it... According to a study by the American Folklore Society, the story only starts showing up a good 50 years after it supposedly happened. And that most likely makes it a marketing stunt promoted by the restaurant George Speck used to work at that actually did sell so-called Saratoga chips for quite a while. The designs are still around, and in fact, believe it or not, the brand is actually still around, even though it doesn't seem to be super active at the moment. But look, even if the exchange between George Speck and Vanderbilt really happened, there's another problem, which is that a recipe for potatoes fried in slices or shavings appears in a British cookbook from 1822, which is 2 years before George Speck was even born. And honestly, it's such a simple recipe that I find it pretty hard to believe that only one person ever came up with this. What we do know for sure is that as early as 1910, companies like Mike Sells from Ohio started making chips industrially, and in the 1920s, Smith's Potato Crisps company from the UK started adding salt. And it wasn't until the 1950s that the Irish brand Tato started making flavored chips like cheese and onion. Old school potato chips were all made in the kettle style, meaning you cook individual batches in a big pot of hot oil. But sometime in the mid-20th century, potato chip companies